Okay, so the first sauce we're going to make today is a chimichurri sauce. It is kind of like a condiment that you add at the end. It is an Argentinian based sauce. I like to call it like their salsa. I like to use it as a marinade. This recipe said, please don't use it as a marinade, but I love it as a marinade. So I'm going to use it as a marinade to marinate the meat. And I'm also going to put it on top so that you can taste it, which is usually how it's served. It's usually served over beef. I'm going to be a little unconventional with the recipe versus what I'm doing. That recipe is for a guide for you, step by step, and I'm going to use it as a guideline. So for my chimichurri, I'm going to use one bundle of parsley. Yeah, I thought I was strong enough. Maybe not. So one bundle of parsley. It's better if the stems are removed because this is the kind of sauce you're going to see them in it. So if you can take off the leaves, you have nothing to do, sit there, watch a YouTube video, right? Pull off all of the leaves from the stems and try not to use the stems. Did I say leaves? You want to use the leaves, not the stems, sorry. But for demo, I'm just going to kind of breeze through this because you don't want to sit here and watch me doing that. Don't throw these away. You can take these, put it in hot boiling water, right, to blanch them, take them out, squeeze them dry, right, pat them dry, air dry, whatever, right, air dry them, and then take them and put them in a blender with some olive oil and make some flavored oil for them. It's good for top of meats, right? It's just going to be pure green parsley, pure green cilantro, whatever you're going to use. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to also take a little bit of, no. I like, just to cut down on the bitterness of the parsley, I like to add some cilantro. You can mix your greens if you want. It's not going to be authentic, but at this point, I like the balance of the flavors between the two. Again, you want to take all the stems off. I'm not going to sit here and bore you and pick them all off, but make sure it makes a difference, and you'll see that difference when I put it into this on the meat. So put that there. Take that off. Again, don't throw this away. There's so much flavor in the stems. All right, so I have my, should have done pesto first. Sorry, I have pesto in my little food processor. Okay. So here's my food processor. I'm going to use this. It says to chop it up very finely by hand. Again, I don't want to bore you and just have you watch me do this, right? You know I can chop. I'm going to put it in my little food processor here. Again, it's my combination of both. It's about, now, on the recipe, it says fresh parsley leaves, so a quarter cup. So this is about a cup of them. So I'm just gonna add a little bit more of the oil of the vinegar. To this, I'm gonna add 2 large cloves of garlic. If your garlic is growing feet, meaning that the purple is coming out of it, I don't have any to show you, just take that out. You can replant that because it's already starting to regrow, but take it out. It makes it bitter. And I'm going to put a little bit of salt in here. The salt, it's going to help break down red pepper flakes. Again, this is not, right? It is not, what do you call it? It is not baking. We're going to add a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So first we're going to do is break down sorry. Okay. That go. We're going to come back and pour it in here when we're done. I have my olive oil and my red vinegar. We're going to open it up. We're going to see how much of it got broken down, and it looks pretty good. Let's just do it just a hair more. I'm gonna push it down. Just gonna push it down just to make sure everything is chopped evenly. It looks pretty good. Maybe I don't even have to do that. I think that's okay. All right, so we're gonna take it out. We're gonna add it in here. You're gonna see in a minute why we don't want stems. Again, I made a whole bunch more yesterday. I literally took 2 things of parsley and 1 thing of cilantro and made a big, huge amount. So I just want to show you. So that's the stem. So again, when I say you want leaves, make sure you're just picking leaves because the stems don't come off that well and they don't blend in. So that's going to be done. Now to this, I'm going to add a little bit of red wine vinegar. Again, you have the recipe. I'm just showing you what it looks like. Olive oil, and then I'm going to mix it up. Taste it. See if I need to add a little bit more salt. This is not an instant sauce. This needs to rest 12 hours, 24 hours. It's better the longer it sits. So we're just gonna mix it all together. I'm gonna give it a taste just for the salt. Awesome. I'm gonna take it, cover it, put it in the refrigerator 24 hours. Okay, next sauce. Next sauce I'm gonna make is a pesto sauce. Again, it's supposed to be made with basil. They didn't have basil at the store. So, and this has happened to me before. So I kind of know about it. And I looked up, can you make pesto with any other herb? And it was like, yes, hello. You can make it with parsley. You can make it with oregano. And I was like, I'm all over that one. So again, while I was at the store, I grabbed parsley. Now, this is called curly parsley. The one I used for the chimichurri was flat leaf. So there's 2 different ones. They kind of have the same flavor. It's just the look that you're looking for. And we're gonna chop this to death. So let me just try to get it. So again, it's okay if you have the stems in there because at this point, we're gonna pulverize it. I just like pulling them off, but we can just cut it, stick it in. To this, we're gonna add the correct amount of cheese that it says. I'm just gonna add cheese. I like to wing things, but I also like specific ingredients If I am confident enough that I've made it enough times, I will wing it. But to start to play, to see if I want to do it, I use the recipe. Make sense? Yes? Some of you it won't. All right. So I'm going to do walnuts. So we toasted the walnuts last class. What did that look like? I put them in a frying pan and put them on the stove. Put them on the burner, put them in. I toasted them for probably about a minute. As soon as I started to smell nuttiness, I took them out, put them in here to cool them down. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to add them in here, because if you don't know, a pesto is, right, herbs, nuts, and grated cheese. Okay, let's see, what else did I forget? I'm going to add some, I didn't put garlic in there yet. Let me show you this also. So I have the garlic here. If you lay your garlic down on your cutting board and hit it with the back of a knife, instant, right, peel. And it saves you from all of those miseries of trying to peel this tiny little garlic, right? It just comes off. Nice and easy. Has anybody had pesto before? Okay. Yes? Okay. So Olive Garden makes a decent pesto, I heard. Buca de Beppo's, if you've been there. They sell it in the grocery store already done. Again, nothing is like making it yourself. Flat leaf parsley was 99 cents. The cheese was about a quarter. The garlic was about a penny. And what else did I put in there? The walnuts, maybe a quarter, because we only used like a cup, maybe 50 cents. So this whole thing, right, you can make for under the amount that you can buy it for. And it's going to taste 100 times better. Okay. So I'm going to put the top on it. Do I need any flip? Oh, I forgot the salt. I'm going to use, it says a half a teaspoon of salt. All right. And I'm going to blend this up. Once it gets all to that blendy stage, right, we're chopping everything up, I'm going to start putting the olive oil in it, drizzling it into it. Again, if you chop it all here, that's fine. It asks for a mortar and pestle. So you can do it yourself and squish and pulverize things. Wow. If you have an immersion blender, you can use that. Again, this is called a food processor. You can put it in a blender if you had a blender at home. All right, so I got everything. It looks like, I'm not going to take it off, but I'm going to show you what it looks like. This is the kitchen with a million spoons. So this is kind of what it looks like, right? It's kind of grainy and sandy. If we used a better Parmesan cheese, it would be more creamy. But now we're going to take the olive oil and we're going to just start the initial process with some olive oil in it. It calls for a half a cup. I'm going to continue to pour it in through the hole until it becomes a wet paste. It's just drizzling it in. I changed the speed to a puree, but I don't have enough olive oil, so I need to put some more on. All right. Again, we want it like a paste. We can open it up, scrape the sides down. It's kind of doing it itself. Pretty neat. Again, by using a different cheese, a cheese that's on the shelf, right? Like these, they have agents added to them so it doesn't stick. They also use the rinds of a piece of grated cheese, right? There's a hard part of the rind as it ages. They also use that in here. It's not going to break down. It's not going to be creamy. It's going to have the Parmesan taste, but it's not going to be the same. So don't skimp on the cheese. The better the cheese, the better. But again, for playing and just learning about how to do it, you can experiment with it. You can use red pepper. I've made red pepper pesto before. I've done exactly the same stuff. Took red peppers, grilled them on the open fire, peeled them off, cut them up, put them in here with some garlic, some grated cheese, and made a red pepper pesto. It's super yummy. Okay, it's still a little dry, so I'm just going to keep adding to that.
Is there a way to reheat pesto?
You can't cook pesto. This is a non-cooking sauce. So, usually when you use basil, if you cook basil, it turns black. If you've ever noticed, anybody ever have a margarita pizza where they put the basil on the top? They put it on at the end and drizzle it with olive oil because it'll burn. You cook, so pesto is normally a cold sauce that you put on hot food. And I'm going to demonstrate that in a second. Okay, I'm going to look at this. That looks pretty good. Okay, so I have pasta water heating up here. I have old pasta, but I'm not going to use that. I'm going to demo some red sauce. Again, I'm going to make it in a pot, so I'm going to take this out. This is our pesto, and we're just going to use it just like this. Again, remember, it looks like a hair, but it's not. It's from the stems. So you can make it creamier than this, but I'm going to show you a trick. So don't stay tuned. All right, so I'm going to take this off, put it on the side. And we're going to make a tomato sauce now. So I'm going to take, I have a whole onion. I cut it in half, and then I cut it in half again, and then I'm cutting it in half again. Depending on how much sauce you're making, right, will depend on how much onion. This called for a small onion, this recipe, so I'm just going to follow that. So I'm going to slice them. Again, if your family doesn't like onion, you can trick them. You can just keep them this long and just put some oil in the pan and just flavor the oil. I'm going to do that with some garlic. I don't have any garlic left. Can somebody, Beauty, can you get me garlic from the refrigerator, please, in the back? Thank you. I can't remember her name sometimes, so I call her Beauty. She's our beauty queen. All right, so I'm putting olive oil in the pan. If you don't have olive oil, then use regular cooking oil. If you have coconut, use coconut, whatever. We're gonna saute it. There should be a whole sleeve of them. I did bring white pepper. I want to show you what it looks like. So that's what white pepper looks like. Thank you. It's very peppery. So, yeah, it's the younger stage of the black pepper. Okay, so I'm gonna keep the garlic. I'm gonna keep the onion a little bit big, right? Again, we can always just take it out. Remember the garlic, instead of peeling it, we're gonna smash it. Oh, like ricocheted. Again, I just want the flavor of these. I'm gonna scoop it out before I put the sauce in. They don't burn as quick either when they're whole. If I was to cut it up right now and cook the onion first, they would definitely burn if I chopped it. So I'm gonna keep them whole. Okay, so I have my salt, my pepper, my Italian seasoning. I'm going to use the white pepper in this so you can taste the pepperiness. It calls for oregano. We're going to put it on pasta, so I wanted a pasta sauce. So I'm going to make it Italian. I'm going to use all the Italian herb seasonings that are in here. Parsley, oregano, marjoram. There's all kinds of stuff in here. I like the flavor. All right, I'm burning everything. All right, so now I'm going to take out these vegetables. We already got the flavor of the sauce. Again, you don't have to, but remember I told you when my kids were little, they didn't like onions, they didn't like garlic, they didn't like that kind of stuff. So, and then my mother-in-law, she's like, why are you doing that? Why don't you just use the blender? So from that point on, I used the blender. So I cooked everything down. Once I added my tomato sauce to it, I took it and poured it into the blender, and it was nice and hot. You have to be careful when you add hot stuff to the blender. You don't want to redecorate the house with red. I'm adding 2 tablespoons of Italian seasoning. I'm going to close this up so I don't over pour. So I'm going to add some white pepper this time and a little bit of salt. You want to make sure whatever tomato sauce you're using, it just says pure tomato sauce before you add your salt, because if it doesn't, then you're going to have a really salty flavor. All right. So in my flavored oil, I'm just going to toast them up a little bit. What happens when we toast the herbs and spices? Yeah, they wake up, right? The flavor comes back out in them and they're like, oh, hello. So it intensifies the flavor. So again, a little bit of pepper. Whoa. I'm going to wait on the salt, and then I'm going to add my sauce. You should start to smell it right now. You'll smell all the herbs and spices. I'm gonna add some water to this just to clean out my can and to loosen it up because it's super thick right now. It needs to cook for 20 minutes. So all of that extra water is gonna cook down and it's gonna intensify the flavor with all of the new flavors that I added to this, right? The onions, the garlic, the Italian seasoning. And then we're just going to come back to it and we're going to stir it every couple minutes. Again, you can take those onions and garlic and use them for something else. It's fine. All right. Let me just do a quick cleanup. All right. So now we have the chimichurri. So we have the chimichurri. I made it last night, and half of it I took and put on the meat. I'm using a flank steak, and it's kind of like flat meat that you use for carne asada or for tacos. I'm just going to show you a quick demonstration about what you don't want to see on your meat, especially meat you're going to cook right away. So on the meat itself, there is fat, of course, right? Fat is flavor. And then there's a silver skin. I just want to show you that silver skin and how to take it off. If you were cooking this meat for a long time, right, it really wouldn't be a problem. But you see the connective skin that's on here? That's called silver skin. And you want to try to remove as much as you can. I like to peel it off, but sometimes it hurts the meat. So I got a really sharp knife, and I'm literally just going to cut it away from the meat. You have to lay the meat out. See, it kind of just is on there. It's not fat, it's silver skin. So you want to take it off. When you don't cook meat for a long period of time, this stuff doesn't break down quick enough, right? If we're just gonna kind of throw it on the grill, see, I already started working on this one, and see how it's kind of pulling the meat. If there's a little on there, it's not a big deal. At least it's not big pieces. So I'm just gonna try to cut it away. So there's still some on here, right? Again, it's not fat, so we're not cutting off fat. We're cutting off of this silver skin. And it's not going to do anything. It's not flavor, or it's not fat. It doesn't add anything to the flavor of the meat. It's just rubbery. Stir my sauce. This has to cook, the sauce has to cook for 20 minutes. So we're going to use the sauce that we made in last period. So again, you just want to try to do your best to get that off. A lot of, when you buy cheaper cuts of meat, they leave, that's the difference between Costco's prime meat and, I got this at Food for Less. They take, Costco has trained butchers that take all of that stuff off of there. So you're literally getting a clean piece of meat with all of this, without this excess stuff. Again, butchers, that's what they do, right? They clean up the meats. So I'm not gonna bore you with this, but because I can get really compulsive with this kind of stuff, but you wanna make sure that your meat, right, has as less as possible. Again, leave the fat on. This is fat. These granulars, you want to leave that on because fat is flavor. Questions? No? We're good? All right, so here's my meat. Again, I made the marinade last night, marinated it last night. I saved half of it. The chimichurri has been in the refrigerator for over 12 hours, not quite 24. The longer it sits, the better it gets. So I'm gonna take, that's hot. I'm gonna take this off, and I'm gonna heat up the sauce that we used last period because it's already been cooking. So this way you have some hot sauce for your pasta. And then I'm gonna do, unlike the last class, I'm gonna do the meat also at the same time. I have my pasta cooking here. My water. Demo on pasta making. We're gonna make pasta this week. We're gonna make the dough on Thursday. Oh wait, some of you have AP testing. I don't know what I'm doing. That was what I was gonna do. We were gonna make pasta. All right, so I'm putting the pasta in salted boiling water. Salted boiling water. As soon as you put the pasta in, you need to stir. for at least the first minute or so. Why? Because it's releasing all of its gluten. Gluten is what makes it stick. The kind of pasta you use matters. If you buy the cheapy brand, like I did, this Anthony's brand, it's good because it's cheap, but it also acts cheap, if that makes sense. It breaks apart the noodles, right? They don't, they're very generic tasting. So you'll see from making our own pasta how it tastes. All right, so I'm gonna let it do its magic. I'm gonna take this out. Got the good old George Foreman grill. I got it on, and it's somewhat warm. Stir this up a little bit. This one I cooked with the garlic cloves whole. Again, if your family doesn't like garlic and stuff, there's so many different ways you can do this. This one has the onions in it, has the whole garlics in it. You can run it through a blender. Nobody would know the difference. Your flavors are there though. Okay, so that's going. This is going. We'll do the meat, and as soon as the pasta's ready, we'll pull out the chimichurri. So this is the pesto I made last night. This is the pesto I made for you today. I think I'm going to use this one. The reason why I'm going to use it is because I didn't use toasted nuts, and there's a difference in the flavors. So I think I'm going to use yours. Doesn't look very different from mine, but the flavor of doing something just a little bit different smells good. Smells just like this one. It's just a little bit, it's like eating a raw nut, where this one is a cooked nut. So you're going to not notice the flavor, but you're going to go, this is really good. We have the chimichurri. Yep. That's the chimichurri I made last night for you guys. Again, I took half of it, used it on the meat marinade. Okay. Check this one. And then I'm going to show you on the George Foreman grill. It is lit up already. I'm going to move it a little bit closer so you can see it. This is the drip plate that catches all the juices. All right. I cleaned all of this meat last night. I'm going to put it on the George Foreman grill. Lay it out nice and flat. It's going to cook top and bottom. It's not going to be as pretty as you would do it outside on the grill, right, or on a flat top, but it serves its purpose. If you live in an apartment, George Foreman's your guy. All right, so pasta's boiling. I'm going to give it a couple more stirs. I'm going to get my, this is done. So this was the pasta that we made last period. Let's take it, put it in a bowl. I didn't coat it with olive oil, so it's going to be very sticky. If you coat it with olive oil, right, it won't stick together, and it'll act really nice when you go to put your sauce on it. But also, to me, it kind of hinders the sauce sticking to it, so depending on the sauce itself. So I'm just going to take it and put it on the side. Alright, so this pot is going in the sink. It's going to catch the pasta water. Remember, we want to reserve the pasta water. Pasta takes about 5 minutes to cook, depending on how much. You want the water to cover it. I'm trying to feel it, but it's not cooperating with me. Not good. All right. So all the juice is dripping out. This is for the pastas. So when it's done, I'm gonna put pasta in both of these. And then again, this was the, what was this? Pesto. This was the pesto from last class. I'm gonna put it over here. And I'm gonna use your pesto. Yes, thank you for remembering that. And remember, if you're going to, let's check this out. Looks good. Now remember, it cooks from the top and the bottom, but I still want color. I don't know why, but I don't want to overcook it. Let's see if we can get a little bit more color on there. I'm going to turn the sauce off. Check the pasta again. We're almost there. Again, with the onions and maybe you're making some pasta with some chimichurri like meat, right? Use the onions. Put it on the side with your meat, right? And the chimichurri. We're gonna say that's done. We're gonna drain the pasta. Again, you're not sure, taste it. You don't want to serve your guests, right? Undercooked pasta. So at home, what I would normally do is throw a stick of butter in here, right? Coat the pasta with it instead of olive oil. But because we have to do something special with the pesto, we're not going to do that. All right, so we're going to take the meat out. We're going to let it rest. We're going to let the heat come back up. We have a cutting board back here. We're going to let it rest for a second. We're going to let this come back up. So here's our pasta. So first we're going to do the pesto. And we're gonna put the plate in here. Miss Celeste, can you go get us some more plates in the back? They're somewhere. Little baby plates? Yeah, I just bought a whole bunch. Okay. All right, so this is gonna be for our pesto. Again, it's nice and hot, right? We're gonna take some of that reserved water because the pesto, right? The pesto isn't very soft. We put it on here, it's not gonna be creamy. What's gonna melt it? It's gonna melt from the water. So we're gonna put a little bit of pasta water on it. Remember, we cannot heat this up. No, in the back, babe.
Whoa, in the
No, I'm pretty sure I bought two things of small plates. Okay. I just don't know where they are. Okay. So we're gonna stir it up. Again, you cannot reheat pesto. So somebody asked, you asked, right? Right, we're gonna take a little bit more of the pasta water, add it to it. So that's why it pays not to put all your pesto in here. A little bit goes a long way. Right, and now it's hot. Now you serve it to your guests. Now here comes the red sauce. We're gonna take the red sauce and we're gonna put it, I'm just gonna pour it in here. Give it a toss. Again, I would have put a dab of butter in here. You would have gotten the fat and that, no? Yes? Okay, well, thank you. All right. There's our pasta. Okay, what we have left is our chimichurri. So that is our chimichurri that we already had cooking. Right?
Yeah, I'm ready.
You don't want to do this with fire alarms. I just thought about that. Lay it out nice and flat. Get it going. Again, we can turn it down to medium. We can do that. I'm going to just turn this. I'm going to reheat this super fast so that the meat is hot. If you want to come and line up, you can. You're going to line up this way. And is there enough forks in there, Letty?
No. This is gonna be different.
Okay, I'm gonna take the meat, right? That's been resting. Why don't we want to cut the meat right away? Can anybody tell me? Right, the juice will come out. And we don't want to do that. We want to cut the opposite way of the grain. So have you ever gotten chewy meat before?
Yeah.
So it could be because of the grains. We see the grains are going up and down here. We're going to cut the opposite way of the grain. The last meat we demoed, remember I had to cut the opposite way of the grain. So make sure that you're taking that into the account of your meat. Our mystery plating. Ooh, cut off my glove. What kind of contamination is that? My glove was in the meat.
No. She's asking like chemical.
Yeah, we're on the right track. We're on the right track.
Come on, lady.
My front door.
Physical?
Yeah, physical and then bio. Is there
Physical.
another one? Bio.
Physical, biological,
There you go.
chemical. Again, you're gonna see, right? You're gonna see these. Remember, when you're making this yourself, I'm just gonna pour it on. All right. All right, this is not lunch. This is a tasting. 1 piece of meat, 2 pastas. Yes?